Welcome to the English Tales, where every story whispers a little magic, and every word weaves a world of wonder. Settle in and let the tales begin. Today, listen to a lawsuit by Mark Twain. Captain Ned Blackley had been sailing ships across the seas from the San Francisco harbor for years. He was a sturdy, kind-hearted, and sharp-eyed veteran sailor. Having been a seafarer since boyhood, Ned was now an experienced man of nearly 50. He was a rough, yet honest soul, fearlessly courageous, highly practical, and filled with simplicity. He despised trivial formalities and valued only what was truly useful. Like most sailors, he had a deep aversion to the complexities and subtleties of the law. He firmly believed that the ultimate purpose of laws and lawyers was to obstruct justice. While captaining a guano ship, he set sail toward the Chincha Islands. He had an excellent crew, among whom a black sailor was his particular favorite. For years, he had showered this man with his admiration. This was Captain Ned's first voyage to Chincha, but his reputation had arrived before him. The reputation of a man who tolerated no nonsense and was quick to fight if provoked. He had earned this reputation through hard work. Upon reaching the islands, he learned that the exploits of a merchant ship's mate, Bill Knox, were widely talked about. This daring man had established a small reign of terror there. At 9 o'clock at night, under the starlit sky, Captain Ned was pacing alone on his ship's deck when a shadowy figure climbed aboard from the ship's edge and moved toward him. The captain called out, "Who goes there?" "I am Bill Knox, the finest man on this island." "What brings you aboard this ship?" "I've heard about Captain Ned Blackley. One of us is the better man. Before I return to shore, I want to know which one." "You've come to the right ship. I'm the man you're looking for, and I'll teach you a lesson for coming aboard uninvited." With that, he grabbed Knox, shoved him against the main mast, and pummeled his face with a series of brutal punches. Once satisfied, the captain lifted him and tossed him off the deck onto the shore. But Knox was not satisfied. The next night, he came back, only to have his face battered again and be thrown off the ship once more. Only then did he seem content. About a week later, one afternoon, Knox was in the midst of a crowd, engaged in a drinking contest with another sailor. Just then, Captain Ned's black sailor happened to pass by. Knox tried to pick a fight with him. The man ignored him and attempted to leave, but Knox pulled out his pistol and shot him dead on the spot. Nearly half a dozen ship captains witnessed the murder. Knox, along with two of his rogue companions, retreated to a cabin at the back of his ship. He announced that anyone who dared come after him would be inviting their own death. No one pursued them. In truth, no one wanted to. Such incidents were rarely given much attention. There were no courts, no officials, and no government presence. The islands belonged to Peru, but Peru was far away. There was no official representative of any nation on that land. But Captain Ned was not one to ignore such matters. He had nothing to do with politics or laws, but he burned with anger and a thirst for justice. At 9 o'clock that night, he loaded his double-barreled shotgun, took out a pair of handcuffs, and then summoned his quartermaster and a few other sailors. "Do you see that ship anchored in the harbor?" "Yes, sir." "That's the Venus." "Yes, sir." "You know me, don't you?" "Yes, sir. Then everything is settled. Pick up the lantern. Hold it just below your chin so that I can see ahead in its light. I'm going to arrest Knox and his accomplices. If any of you hesitate or step back, you know what that means, don't you? Yes, sir. They moved stealthily toward Knox's hideout. The quartermaster shoved the door open. In the lantern's glow, the 3 ruffians were sitting on the floor. Captain Ned said, "I am Ned Blackley. You 3 are within range of my shotgun. None of you will move without my command. You 2, face the wall and stay down. Knox, step forward and put on these handcuffs. Quartermaster, lock them." He clicked the cuffs shut. "Don't even think about moving. Quartermaster, lock the door from the outside. I'm shutting you 2 in. If you try to break out, well, you've heard of me." Then he turned to Knox. "You walk ahead. Everything is under control. Quartermaster, lock the door." Knox spent the night on Blackley's ship, under strict surveillance, like a prisoner. Early in the morning, Captain Ned formally invited all the ship captains in the harbor to witness the hanging of Knox at 9 o'clock. "What? Has this man been tried?" "That's right. But hasn't he murdered the black sailor?" "Absolutely, he has. But you're not thinking of hanging him without a trial, are you?" "A trial? What's the need for a trial when he's already killed the black sailor?" "Oh, Captain Ned, that's not how things work. Just think about how it would look." "Look? To hell with that. Didn't he kill the black sailor?" Of course, Captain Ned. But then I'm going to hang him, that's all. Everyone I talk to says the same thing as you. Yet they all admit he killed the black sailor. Everyone knows he killed him. But every thick-headed one of you wants a trial for it. Such nonsense is beyond me. A trial? Fine. If you want a trial, I don't object. If it makes you all feel better. I'll attend the hearing and do whatever is necessary. But postpone it until the afternoon. I'll be busy with his execution until then." "What? What do you mean? Do you want to hold a trial after you've already hanged him?" "Didn't I tell you? I'm going to hang him. I've never seen people like you before. What difference does it make? You made a request, I agreed to it. And still, you're not satisfied. Whether before or after, it's the same thing. You already know what the trial's outcome will be. He murdered the black sailor. All right, I'm off now. If your assistant wants to come watch the hanging, bring him along. I like him." A commotion broke out in the camp. All the captains gathered together. They pleaded with Captain Ned not to act so hastily. They promised to assemble the most honorable captains, form a jury, and conduct the proceedings with the seriousness the case deserved. They assured him of a fair trial, where the accused would be given a just opportunity to defend himself. They stated that this was a murder case, and even an American court would sentence him to death. The execution would take place on Ned's ship, just as he wished. They urged him strongly to understand their reasoning. Captain Ned said, "Gentlemen, I am not a stubborn or unreasonable man. I always seek justice and do what is right whenever possible. Tell me, how long will this take?" "Probably not much time at all." "Then after your trial is done, I can take him and hang him. If he is found guilty, he can be hanged without delay. If he is found guilty, my God, isn't he already guilty? This is a waste of my time Don't you all already know that he's guilty?" Finally, they convinced him that they were not acting unfairly. Then he said, "Fine, have your trial. In the meantime, I'll go and prepare his soul for the afterlife. That is something very necessary before he leaves this world. And I won't let him go without making a proper spectacle of it." This was yet another obstacle. They finally convinced him that the presence of the accused in court was essential. Then they said, "We will send a guard to bring him." "No, gentlemen, I would prefer to bring him myself. He won't escape from my hands. Besides, I was heading to my ship anyway to fetch the rope." The court was assembled with full formality. A jury was appointed. Then Captain Ned entered, holding the prisoner in one hand and a rope and a Bible in the other. He sat down with his captive and addressed the court. "Now, you may raise the anchor and set the ship adrift." As he glanced at the jury, he noticed two of Knox's rogue companions among them. Standing up confidently, he said, "You are here to interfere in the case. Remember, you must cast the right vote. Do you hear me? Otherwise, after this, my double-barreled justice will conduct an investigation, and your remains will be sent home in baskets." The warning was not in vain. The jury unanimously declared guilty. Captain Ned stood up and said, "Come on, now you are my prey. Gentlemen, you have done yourselves proud. I invite you all to witness that I handle everything properly. Walk with me to the execution site. It's just a mile away." The court informed him that a sheriff had been appointed to carry out the execution. At this, Captain Ned's patience snapped. His rage knew no bounds. The crowd quickly realized that abandoning the idea of a sheriff was the wisest course of action. When they reached the execution site, Captain Ned climbed a tree and tied the rope securely. Then he came down and placed the noose around the prisoner's neck. Opening the Bible, he set his hat aside. With deep seriousness and dignity, he read a passage aloud, then said, "Boy, you're going up now. There, you will have to account for your deeds. As for sins, the lighter the burden, the better. So, confess your sins. You killed the black sailor, didn't you?" Silence. No response came from him. Captain Ned paused from time to time while reading another chapter, ensuring its impact was stronger. Then he delivered a sermon to enlighten the criminal, and finally repeated his question once more. "Did you kill the black sailor?" Still, there was no answer, just a menacing growl. At this, the captain solemnly read the first and second chapters of Genesis with deep sensitivity, and then respectfully closed the book. With evident satisfaction, he said, "I have done more for you than most would ever bother to." Then, he tightened the noose and watched the criminal hang for half an hour by his watch. Afterward, he handed over the lifeless body to the court. A little later, as he looked at the motionless corpse, he mused. Perhaps burning it would have been better. But I did what I thought was right. When news of the entire affair reached California in those early days, it became a subject of much discussion. However, rather than diminishing Captain Ned's popularity, it only increased it. The people of California in those times were of the sort who believed in the simple, old-fashioned method of direct punishment. Therefore, whenever such methods were employed, they admired them. Thank you for joining us on this journey through words and wonder. Until our next tale, stay curious and keep dreaming.